kill a lion and save a pride. Kill a rhino and save an entire herd. By show of hands, who here believes that under no circumstance should endangered animals be killed, especially through trophy hunting? Thank you. Caring about the well-being of animals is a worthwhile and noble cause, especially those who are endangered. But what if I told you that the trophy hunting of specific species is one of the best things we can do to help them thrive? My friends always ask me, Kevin, why do you care so much about trophy hunting? You've never even been trophy hunting. And just because I haven't done it doesn't mean that I can't see the merits of it. I have raised animals throughout my life, and it's had a profound effect on me growing up. And I care about all animals, especially those endangered. But like me, not everyone can go on a trophy hunt, but you can all still do your part by donating money to conservation groups like the African Wildlife Foundation, whose mission aligns with the conservation efforts of these at-risk animals. But why are these animals at risk? What's the problem? The problem is there's just not enough money and resources to properly protect them. In an article from National Geographic, Michael Pettini explains that the savannas of Africa, the forests of North America, are too vast and too big for us to protect. There's not enough bodies to cover them. Poachers today are more advanced than ever and hard to combat. They use advanced weaponry like grenade launchers, GPS, night vision goggles, and low-flying helicopters to maximize their effectiveness. There are those that say that Africa has bigger problems than their wildlife, and that is true. But the wildlife and unique biome of Africa is what makes Africa so unique. You cannot find it anywhere else. It cannot be forgotten until it's too late. Every day, this problem persists. More and more animals die to poachers who operate uncontested. According to the African Wildlife Foundation, black rhinos are down 97% since 1960. 35,000 elephants were killed last year, and lions are extinct in 7 African countries. According to Christopher Joyce in an article for NPR, one of the biggest threats to these animals, possibly bigger than poachers, is the loss of habitat. More and more every day, farmers are converting land for agriculture and economic purposes. Elephants and rhinos are destroyers of crops and homes. Leopards and lions kill livestock and people. These farmers would not hesitate to poison these animals if they didn't have an incentive to keep them alive. Animal rights activists would say that killing these animals should be a last resort, but it's easy to have an opinion when you don't actually have to deal with these animals. When these animals don't mean the difference between you getting a paycheck. If these animals became economically viable, these farmers would have an incentive to tend to the land and keep these animals alive. So how do these animals become economically viable? Trophy hunting. Trophy hunting, by charging high dollar price tags the right to kill these animals, that money can then go back into the conservation efforts of that species. If you look at this chart from the National Geographic, it shows the minimum cost of hunting these animals in certain African countries. At the low end, $12,000 will get you a buffalo. For $76,000 will get you a lion. That's a lot of money to go back into the conservation efforts. In 2014, a Texas hunter paid $350,000 for the right to kill a black rhino. According to New York Times, Richard Conniff explains that money went to a trust fund whose sole purpose was the conservation efforts of these rhinos. It paid for guards and tracking implanted in rhinos' horns as an anti-poaching measure. Una Shliva, a journal for wildlife management, explains that countries like Mongolia, Pakistan, Zimbabwe, even the United States, all use trophy hunting revenue to pay for guards and equipment. There are those that say governments in Africa are too corrupt to handle these types of wildlife programs. That is true for some, but not for the country of Namibia, who in the mid-1990s, through a nationwide conservation effort, gave the wildlife back to the locals, who then formed conservancies. These conservancies then keep track of the land and the animals that live there, and then these conservancies partner up with safari companies and tourist lodges for a cut of their profits. Felix Monowek, a pro hunter in the Naya Naya region of Namibia, states, "I feel quite shitty when an elephant dies, but that elephant pays for the other 2,500 that roams through here. In the end, this is the best system we have so far. In the end, it might save this place and the elephants." So you might be wondering, how do you fit in all this? Trophy hunting is so expensive, not everyone can do it, but everyone can still do their part by donating money to conservative agencies like the African Wildlife Foundation. Whose mission is to help ensure that wildlife and wildlands thrive in modern Africa. Without the resources and incentives to keep these animals alive, more of them will die every day to farmers and poachers. Trophy hunting is imperfect, but is the best system we have. If you're interested, go for it. But if you can't, please donate the money. By show of hands, who here feels a little better about trophy hunting? I would like to close from a quote from Margaret Jacobson, an anthropologist who lived in Namibia for 27 years. Had a vision that one day these animals would be our gold. They'd be more valuable alive than in our cooking pots. Thank you.
We got through it.
Yeah, we did.
You got through it. Oh, wait.
What do you think? What did you think of those?
I don't like his point, but it's a good point.
Man.
You did a good job.
Me love, man.
I like it. It's a good one.
I know.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
I saw that.
I think it was just a much tougher issue for you to handle because
Okay, no, I see it, but like, it's kind of like,
he's handling it.
just don't. I see your point though, I see it. I see